Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. My name's Bernie McIntosh and I'm your MC for today. We would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri and the Bunurong people of the Kulin Nation and also pay our respects to elders past, present and future, and extend that respect to all Indigenous Australians present today. Welcome to our hybrid meeting, to those online and to everyone here in the room.
One question.
Thanks today will be given by past President Peter Dakin, followed by the loyal toast to be presented by President Chris. Please ensure your glass is charged. Peter.
Well, many thanks, Bernie, and good afternoon, Rotarians and guests present today and online.
David Cox has got a present.
This is very difficult for me to say, but I do have to congratulate you, Collingwood supporters, amongst it for a terrific win. So well done. And the Demons, I think, will be back next year, but well done.
It's on a USB stick.
In browsing the Rotary Down Under magazine online, it never ceases to amaze me the range of projects we as Rotarians undertake locally and internationally. An interesting article mentions in this month's magazine that the 10th of October is World Mental Health Day, and Rotary is placing a special focus on mental health this month. We as a club have a strong focus today in raising mental health awareness, particularly for our veterans. I'd like to reflect on the horrendous impact the pandemic shutdowns have had on so many people and friends we know and in our society, and in particular, youth and school children who were forced out of going to school. Clearly, the mental impact on young people is playing out badly in our society today. It's important that we as Rotarians are conscious of this and endeavour to support the caring organisations and networks supporting our youth. These include organisations like Kids Helpline, Beyond Blue, Headspace, Reach, Mind, Origin, and the list goes on and on. We must play our part to try and arrest the incidence of youth crime and the generational impact on our families. If not, society will continue to pay a very high price, as will our youth. Over to you, President Chris. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. Rotarians and guests, a toast to Australia and Rotary International. Australia and Rotary International. Thank you. Kindly be seated. We will be breaking for lunch and we'll reconvene at around 1:10 p.m. For those online, please take up the offer of the Zoom breakout rooms, which will be open shortly. Members, visitors and guests, it's my pleasure to welcome you to our 14th meeting. God, it's unusual seeing everyone here with these hats. It's thrown me off a little bit. Of this Rotary year and our 5,005th meeting in our 103rd year. So David, that gives you a bit of a history of our club. It's wonderful to see you all here today, including those attending online. And don't you all look splendid? I think we should have a group photo later. Our guest speaker today is David Cox, founder of Guitars for Veterans. David will be speaking on mental health for veterans and will be more formally introduced by our chair of the day, Graham O'Donnell, later in the program. So in the meantime, would you please join me in acknowledging and making them both welcome? Thank you. There is a conspicuous presence in the room. The Go Pies have chosen, have chosen to celebrate their club's impressive victory over the Brisbane Lions. And wasn't that last couple of minutes just nail-biting for all of us? It's great to see an orderly group of Collingwood supporters. There we go. Here under the leadership of past President Chris Wang, your club has kept the treasured Premiership Cup in Melbourne for the next year, and for that we should all be grateful. We have visiting Rotarians with us today, so I invite you and your host to stand when your name is announced and ask that you please remain standing to enable the club to welcome you in a collective manner. So we have Kathy Cox, partner of David and guest of Graham O'Donnell, and Rochelle Patterson, guest of Catherine Baxter. So thank you both. Welcome, welcome. Now it's my pleasure to invite Suresh to come to the podium to tell us a little bit more about Hat Day, the initiative we're celebrating today. Thank you.
Thank you, President Chris. President Chris, fellow Rotarians, friends, thank you very much, past President Peter Dakin, for setting the stage and establishing the importance of mental health this month. The National Productivity Commission, in its public inquiry a couple of years ago, established that at least 20% of all Australians between the age of 6 and 85 experience some incident of mental illness throughout their life. It is a very serious matter. The WHO has identified mental illness as the #1 health concern by the year 2030. Anxiety, depression, substance abuse are some of the critical problems. Unfortunately, 54% of all cases do not get treated for various reasons: stigma, access to help, etc. This is therefore a huge problem in our society. For those of you who are unaware, Australian Rotary Health was set up 40 years ago by the Rotary Club of Mornington. It commenced by trying to look at possible cures for SIDS, cot death, which was almost eliminated. From then on, they progressed to various other forms of mental illness. Subsequently, it was realized that almost 314,000 children aged between 4 and 11 suffer from some type of mental disorder. So for the next 2 years, Australian Rotary Health has focused on that age demographic for research into mental health. ARH gives approximately $2 million of research funding every year and has so far dispensed over $50 million. ARH is very much part of Rotary, and it is the responsibility of clubs to support ARH and its commitment to solving mental health issues. Under the leadership of President Chris, I'm sure this club is committed to showing leadership in this district 9800 and to champion the cause of mental health. Some of the things we do is to collaborate with ARH into giving scholarships. There are PhD scholarships for 3.5 years. There are scholarships into Indigenous health, rural nursing, to name a few. These are areas that I will be happy to speak about at leisure if the club is interested, and we progress it with the Health and Aging Committee. The other thing that I would like to place on the table is the importance, just like St. John's Ambulance offers a physical first aid course, I believe that the mental health first aid course should always be a prerequisite for anyone involved with community service. Right. The Australian Rotary Health delivers an online, at the moment, 2 3-hour sessions to acquire an accredited mental health professional course. Right. It's a very in-depth interactive course and teaches you as a first response before we seek professional aid into mental health. I strongly urge members of the club who are interested in this course to approach us, as we deal constantly with people who are undergoing trauma or who are in need of assistance. As we all know, after COVID in particular, and the bushfires, and the current bushfires and floods, the number of cases of mental illness has really exacerbated. Right. So on that note, I'll be happy to take any questions if there's a minute or two. Do you want me to do that now or later? Later? Yeah. So I thank you very much for your attention and look forward to the support of each of you as an individual and the Rotary Club of Melbourne to Australian Rotary Health. Thank you.
Thank you, Suresh. Certainly an important commitment for Australian Rotary Health, an important commitment for us too as a club. We have a number of initiatives that we will be rolling out, and in discussions with the District Governor, Ron Payne, he's more than happy for us to take leadership on this within district as well. Not that we needed to ask him. Okay, thank you. Now, for notices around the Bay, a reminder, the event is on this weekend. If you're a volunteer at the event, you should by now have a good idea of your role, which will have been confirmed by email. Jim Orchard can also help if you need more information. Also on the table is a flyer about the annual bike raffle, which was launched last week. The prize is a $2,000 voucher provided by My Ride Collingwood Bike Shop, 192 Wellington Street, Collingwood. Let's all buy one or more of the book of tickets, which comprises 10 for the price of 9 and are available through Humanitix. All proceeds will go to the Smith family's Learning for Life program. To the end, Polio Now walk. Past President Robert Fisher is making terrific progress in his walking 250 kilometres challenge to raise funds for the, as of yesterday, lunchtime, Robert was one of the individual leaders with a total of 2,847 and well on the way to his 5,000 target. Your donation to help him achieve his 5,000 goal is one of our objectives. And what an impact. Every dollar raised by participants will be matched 3 for 1 by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Robert's achieving 5,000 will result in 20,000 to help in the final stages of eradicating polio. Let's make sure Robert stays at number 1 on the leaderboard. I know we can push Robert's fundraising way past $5,000. Your donations will be welcome as per the flyer on your table. 2 final notices. Rotary Club of Brighton celebrated their 50th year a few days ago, so congratulations to them, and we wish them all the very best and look forward to collaborating with them moving forward. Next, the Yamarella orchestral performance is on the 14th of October at the Arts Centre, and David Cram's holding the flag for us there, so tickets are available through the Arts Centre. And out of the business of the day, would our chair, Graham Donald, come to the podium to take over the meeting and introduce our speaker. Graham.
Well, it's my pleasure to introduce David Cox to you today. I first met David down at Rotary Ocean Grove when I had a short stint down there, and 3 things struck me on the day. One, he was a wonderful speaker, but the alignment with our club, the immediacy of his particular brand of music therapy, and the good that it does. And I saw coming here with our cohort of veterans and the great work they do, and then the adaptability and I guess adopting of what you do, David, and we've done it at Deakin with a number of projects within the welfare of the Young Committee and the Arts Committee. And on that note, I'd ask you all to welcome David to the stage.
I want you to imagine, just for a moment, we're not here. We're actually in another hotel. It's somewhere you've never been before. And you're sitting down, you're about to have your meal, and all of a sudden you need to go to the bathroom. And someone says to you, you go down the hallway, down the stairs, turn left, second door on your right. You leave your phone on your desk or on the table, and you just go down to this room. So away you go, into the bathroom, and all of a sudden the lights go out. Dead black. It's pitch black. You can't hear anything, you can't see anything, the door's shut, it even locked behind you. So all of a sudden you're there, the first 10 seconds, you think, oh, someone's going to come, someone's going to do something. Nothing. The first 30 seconds, nothing's happening. So your brain is starting to think about, what if? Where do I go? What happens now? And then all of a sudden you start to hear things because you lose your sight. Your hearing starts to come up. You can hear things you never heard before because your senses are becoming ultra above seeing. You can smell things you never smelt before. And you're feeling this, you're starting to feel worried about it. You can't hear anything, there's no lights, there's no voices. And after about 2 or 3 minutes, you're actually starting to feel a sense of panic. You're wondering, is someone know I'm here? Did the lights go out everywhere? There's just this sense of loss that you're not quite sure what's happening. And as you stand there and you're starting to come to grips with what could happen, what might happen, all of a sudden a window opens and someone says, I've got the keys. And I'll just leave you with that for a second. My name is Dave Cox and I am the founder for Guitars for Veterans Australia. We've been going since about 2017 and our mission is to help veterans who suffer from PTSD with music therapy. It's a very simple solution. So music therapy is not new. It's been around probably since the mid-1800s, probably even longer. And you probably all know the famous nurse Florence Nightingale. She discovered music therapy back in the Crimean War. When she started to put the foundations in for the nursing protocols that we know today, this wonderful woman discovered that music actually soothed the troops. And by playing music, it actually helped in their healing process. So she pushed this idea of some music that was soothing, it was flowing, and it actually helped the troops recover. So it became something that became embraced in the nursing in the very, very early days, that music helped. And she said, voice, wind, stringed instruments promoted healing. So when I think about that, that's 150 years ago, this woman recognised that and said that. So she knew something. So why Guitars for Veterans Australia? Well, we have record statistics and we all know them. They're staggering. Over 30% of males experience PTSD who served. 29% of women who served experienced PTSD. And the suicide rates, as we know, are 2 to 1. Males that have left the service, they're likely to suicide twice the level of any other male in the population. So PTSD has an effect, and it's something we have to try to grapple with. Now, the Army's not going to solve it. What they're about is creating soldiers to fight, defend the country. Once they leave the service, their duty is really finished, and we need to sort of really understand that. They're like a used Land Rover. You know, it's up for auction, it's available. The human is a bit the same. Once they're finished, they've done their job. And really the community and the government as a whole must put their arms around the soldiers and try to embrace them back into the community. But PTSD has been around for a long, long time. We know that in the First World War, they called it shell shock. In the Second World War, they called it troppo. And once the Vietnam War came in, the Korean War, we started to understand that there was PTSD was affected to troops who served. Now, one of the things that's a little different is the Second World War and the First World War, a lot of the troops, when they came back from the theatre of service, they spent 6 or 8 weeks on a ship. And what they found is that being together with their mates for that time, they had time to talk about what they saw, what they felt. They had an opportunity to talk about that. Today that doesn't happen. We're in a 24/7 environment. Someone can be in a theatre of war and within 24 hours they're back in the community. They've had no chance to really rehabilitate themselves. And it's those first 4 to 6 weeks that are critical in decompression and actually helping people talk about that. But here we are, we have a lot of soldiers and a lot of defence people that suffer PTSD in some way. So we have a very simple formula, and it's 1 + 10. It's 1 guitar, 10 lessons, and that actually gives them the tools to learn a little bit about music and introduce them to what music therapy is all about. Firstly, it teaches them to start to socialise with other people learning to play the guitar. And these are aspects that sometimes soldiers grapple with, is re-socialisation. It enables them to think about something a little different, and that's music. It also allows them to physically touch the guitar. So there's something about holding the guitar, thinking about it and playing it. There's not much more room in the brain to think about anything else. So music can actually start to bring some therapy forward in that way. And also at an emotional level, because once you play a little bit of music or you feel the music, it actually touches you in an emotional way. So all your senses are engaged. So what we do is we gift a guitar to a veteran, and we arrange 10 lessons for them at no cost to the veteran, anywhere in Australia, no matter how they served or where they served. Whether they serve 1 day or 50 years, as far as we're concerned, they're a veteran. They signed the cheque to serve our country. They deserve to be helped and embraced by the community. We'd like more people to step up and serve the community, so we should try to help them when they leave the service. So what we do is we give them a guitar, 10 lessons, we engage them with a music teacher. Now it can either be a one-on-one, or sometimes we put them into a Zoom course. So we put 5 veterans, and we can have a veteran in Wangaratta, a veteran in Darwin, a veteran in Alice Springs, and another one in South Australia, and they're all together learning the guitar. So what they're doing, they're engaged as a team, they're learning the guitar, the new guitar was delivered direct to their house, so all of a sudden they're starting to feel that I'm cared about. These are little things that they're probably not too used to. They're used to fighting City Hall with the government system. Whereas we try to treat them like a valuable customer, embrace them. So once they engage with us, we take their details. Next thing you know, we deliver a guitar to their house, and that's a wonderful experience. This free guitar turns up, and next thing you know, a course leader contacts them and gets them on their course very, very quickly. So they feel cared for, and they really want to get stuck into the music, and that's a good thing. So why guitar? I guess it's a beautiful instrument. It looks great. It's made of wood. It's resonant. It feels good when you touch it and you put it to your body. It's natural. It's made from natural material. And it's flowing. It just has this wonderful look about it. So guitar is the natural instrument to do what we do. It wouldn't be right to have pianos for veterans. You know, getting pianos around the place wouldn't work. Trumpets for veterans would be driving families crazy. Somebody said, what about harmonicas for veterans? I said, well, you're probably going to bring PTSD in the household. We can't be doing that. So it needs to be a guitar, because our vision is 10 lessons, 1 guitar. The guitar then, when they feel a little down or a little different, they can go and sit on the back porch with a cup of coffee and escape to somewhere that they probably never thought they could. And that's just playing a few chords and enjoying music to themselves. Our results so far, since we started in 2017, over 450 veterans we've helped throughout the country. And they age from 80 Vietnam veterans down to 25 veterans come back from the desert. All services and all age groups and all different conditions of their attitude and their prevalence of PTSD. We're lucky we have a lot of sponsors. We have some corporate sponsors, some companies, and I've got to say we have a wonderful relationship with Rotary since we first started. As Graham said, the first time we engaged Rotary, I couldn't believe it. There was this organisation that really valued the community, wanted to step up and help, and immediately they put the arm out of friendship and said, look, we believe in what you're doing, we'd like to help you. So I'm very grateful, and I can't speak highly enough of Rotary. And on the back of that, you know, through Rotary, Graham introduced us to Deakin University, which has helped us develop some of our programs and taken us forward as an organisation. So, as you know, teamwork, collaboration, friendship, all these things come together when you have a common goal. So it's been a good experience, this charity. And we have some private companies that step up, private individuals, and that helps us keep going. I want to give you a little bit of a case study, a quick one, because it's not all roses here. We have a lot of success, but we have a few that people fall over, and this is just true in life. We had a veteran. He was an Afghan veteran. He was homeless. He was living on the street, and he came to us and said, "Look, I found a place to live, but I really like to learn the guitar." So we got him a guitar. We got him engaged with 10 lessons with an instructor, he cleaned himself up a little bit and he started to play, and he played beautifully. He used to send me little videos of what he was doing, and I thought, wow, this is really good. But sadly, he was drug addicted, so he sold his guitar to buy drugs. And then 3 months later, he rang me and he told me the story. And I think in life, you've got to give people a few goes here. So I said to him, I said, Daniel, come in, I'll give you one more guitar, but you've got to promise to me you won't sell it. You've got to promise to me that if you feel inclined to buy the drugs, you're going to call me. Because I'd rather buy the drugs than you sell the guitar, because that's going to be your friend. That's your mate. And he kept the guitar, and he's got himself clean, and he's living in a unit, and he's starting to write music. So the dream for this chap is we want to actually record a song. We want to take him from the street to learning music, writing a song, telling a story and getting it out there. And who knows, it might be a new career for this person. So it's all about giving people a hand up and another hand up sometimes. So our next steps, what we're trying to do is we're trying to encourage the veterans to team up with their mates in RSLs and play a bit of jam sessions and try and do more with music. Because for me, some of these RSLs, you know, they're underutilised, totally underutilised. You know, it makes me sad, these buildings, empty, and they sort of they come alive on 25th of April and a few other times, but the other time they're sitting there vacant. So for me, if we can introduce some music and get the veterans in there jamming, well, that would be a beautiful thing. We want to teach them to songwrite. So we'll expand our operation to actually have people come in free of charge, songwriters to mentor some of the veterans. And if we need to, we'll coach them in how to sing songs and take them to the next level, because it would be nothing better to have some of these veterans out there playing their music and sharing their song. And that's not only helping themselves, but it's also sharing their experience with the community. So we don't sit back on our laurels and sort of wait for donations. We love them, of course, and they're all needed. But we do live shows. We'll go and perform at RSLs. We'll sing a few songs. We have ambassadors, which are artists, and they come and help us to promote what we do. We've created a CD, Guitars for Veterans, Where Words Fail is what we call it. And it's got donated artists, which are mainly in the main veterans, like Normie Rowe, Marty Rowan. Some of these people have donated a song to us free of charge, and they allow us to sell the CD. So every CD funds a lesson. So we're a bit like Rotary. We think you've got to be proactive. You can't just sit back, get out there and make some noise and tell your story. We have a thing called Rhythm Art, which is we accept donated guitars from the community. So one day I might get somebody turn up in a station wagon. Jenny turns up and she opens the back and you pull out these guitars. You know, this was Uncle Jimmy's. I got it from the shed, and this one was Johnny's from under the bed. So the place is littered with all these old guitars that are not used. So my vision is that we can try and reuse them and get them to veterans. But sometimes, sadly, we get these guitars, you know, the necks are broken, the strings are off it, and obviously we'll take them in goodwill. But we figured another way what we can do is we take those guitars, take the strings off them, and we give them to veterans who are doing art, and we say, can you paint a poppy theme on the guitar? So we've rebirthed that guitar, and then we sell and raffle that at auction. So we've taken that beautiful instrument that we're probably destined to the tip, and we've given it a new life to raise funding for what we do. So the program is sort of, the essence is 1 + 10, 1 guitar and 10 for a veteran, but we need to keep thinking of better ways how we can push ourselves forward. So I'll just come back to being lost in that hotel. Veterans have rang me up from time to time and said what the course means to them. And one of them said to me, he said, I can't tell you in a lot of words what it means, but all I can say is it's like someone has opened a new window in my mind. And that's what music has done to this person. They're so consumed with all their thoughts and things that enabling the music has just opened this little window that they never thought was there, that they can actually think about something else in a beautiful way. So music matters, it changes people's lives and it makes a difference. So what I'd like to do is, I didn't bring it along just to sort of show you what a guitar is. I think we all know what a guitar is. But as part of the CD, we had a few artists write songs and given them the songs. And I was fortunate enough, a veteran came to me one day and he said, Dave, look, I can't sing and I can't play, but I wrote this poem when I was in Afghanistan. And I'd like you to have a look at the poem, and if the words are any good to you, please use them in your program. So I took the music away and we wrote a song, and it's called Where Do I Go? And these are words from a veteran. I'm sorry I'm calling you and waking you from your sleep. Your missus is cranky, she thinks that I'm a creep. I don't know what I'm doing, I don't know where to go. And I've been down before and never been this low. So where do I go? Ooh, please tell me, where do I go? Oregon was pretty tough, the heat, the sand and the flies, and roadside bombs, patrols with bloodshot eyes. I don't know what I'm doing, mate, I don't know where to go. And I've been down before and never been this low. So where do I go? Ooh, please tell me, where do I go? You know the garbage truck that roams our neighborhood takes me back to a place, the sounds I understood. I don't know what I'm doing, man, I don't know where to go. And I've been down before and never been this low. So where do I go? Ooh, please tell me, where do I go? Ooh, please, oh, where do I go? Thank you. So that's the answer. That's the question. Where do they go? Well, they go to the community and they seek help, and hopefully they come to Guitars for Veterans, and we might just give them just a glimmer, open a new window in their mind. So thank you so much for the opportunity.
My pleasure. So we have time now for some questions.
Yeah, of course. Yep.
Who would like to start off with a question?
Can I start off? Okay. David, what about your musical journey? Where did it start and how did you get to where you are now?
Okay, good, thank you. I served in the military 10 years. I was in the army, and when I joined at 15, in those days you could join young, I left home and took my jeans, which I didn't wear much, and a guitar. It was my mate. So as I travelled throughout the army and served, I always had a guitar with me. And then when I left the service, I went into corporate. All the skills I learned in the military helped me define a corporate career and then my own business career. but the guitar was always in the corner and a great friend. But about 5 or 6 years ago, I decided now it was time to rekindle my music aspirations and start to write music. And I did. I started to write some songs and become a small-time country sort of artist. And then I came across the idea that it was time to energise all that together into focus, and maybe I could do something to help veterans.
Are exit interviews when you leave Defence so that your health and well-being is assessed? And how many people actually leave the forces with PTSD, or does it come on in later years?
Okay, good questions. When you leave the military, when I left the military those years ago, there was no debrief, there was no exit interview, hand in your boots, see you later. It was like that. In the last 10, 20 years, they actually try to go through a transition. They try to talk about career operations and what you might be able to do. Because people have been in the military for 20 or 30 years, they've never had to worry about health insurance, going to the dentist. They've never had to worry about things in life that we do. So when they get disconnected, it's the heart and lungs is actually disconnected from that person, and they have to re-engage in community. It's a big step. Now, if they've also been in a conflict situation and they've experienced PTSD, that's not necessarily picked up. You know, it's suppressed, it's internalised, they don't really want to talk about it. So the military, it's more the DVO, the Department of Veterans Affairs, they're really working on how to catch that, but it's a journey. And we're not alone, it's a global issue. The USA, of course, are struggling with it as well because of just the sheer amount of veterans they've got out there. But the numbers, they say ex-military males, it's about 32% suffer from a PTSD, and for women, it's about 28%. So it's quite significant. But the numbers that we have, the Deakin University did a study for me, and they actually they demonstrated, and they have the facts that music therapy can help that by about 30% in a veteran. So that's a pretty high hit rate to actually have some effect on PTSD.
Hi there, David. My name's Adrian. On Monday night, I went to the Melbourne Theatre Company where they're currently showing My Sister Jill. And the story loosely is about a post-World War II veteran who comes home and he's got PTSD, and then the impact that has on his family subsequently. And without giving too much away, it includes aspects of the Vietnam War as well, and PTSD from that. So this has been happening for generations, for years. We know that it's happening. The Army knows that it's happening. Why do we wait until after the fact? What can we do that's proactive beforehand? The statistics are the statistics, and it's been around forever. What can we do proactively to be able to prevent it? Is there something to do with music maybe that can help in advance rather than after the fact?
Oh, look, I think a lot of minds are thinking about this, and you're so right. You know, I used to say in the old days, where's Fred? You know, I was down the shed having a turn. Well, that was the terminology. They didn't know what to say, but he was down there decompressing. He was having an episode with his PTSD. But I think the thing is the military now have a lot more therapists, psychologists. They've actually put a lot more effort into managing the mental state of veterans through the service and also post-service and the transition. So what you asked about before, there's definitely a lot more effort going into that. We're probably in a bit of a peak at the moment, because as we've finished the desert campaigns, you know, we're going to have a lot of young people coming out and transitioning. So there's going to be quite a big cohort of that. And, you know, and that's on the back of obviously the Vietnam veterans. I mean, a lot of those Vietnam veterans are still suffering badly. And it's not just their experience in the theatre of war, it's also the experience when they returned home. They were rejected, you know, they were criticised, you know, it was they weren't allowed to wear their uniforms. So not only did they go through that experience, but they weren't even acknowledged for having served their country. So a double whammy, and that alone can bring on a PTSD. So the answer is it's a continual process, and the military shouldn't wait till the end. It should be from day one, always talking. As we've learned in society now, in business, communication, talking about issues, trying to resolve it, not putting them under the carpet. So that's the solution. But music is a key factor.
David, Peter Hollingworth, thank you very much for that. That was the most powerful experience that I've just had. And it brings home for me some prior experiences I had working particularly with Vietnam veterans. And in the aftermath of all this, what's been happening in Afghanistan, all the things you've talked about, I think the work you've done, we know that music therapy has a profound impact. And we know what happens when we fail to deal with it immediately after people return home, and we should be ashamed of ourselves. I suppose I've just got one question. In the midst of all the remarkable things you've done and the stories that you've told, and I've seen it all myself, and we don't ever seem to learn. And that's the big challenge for our society. I think there's no shortage of information, there's no shortage of research. We've seen it all face to face, and countless numbers of us have experienced it in one way or another. Now, I suppose the question is, for organisations like you, it's clear that you've got a wonderful form of therapy, and that's got to go on. The service, direct service, is profoundly important. But the big question is, I suppose, at the end of the day, it's a kind of quasi-political one, that somehow or other our major institutions don't grasp the extent of responsibility, and somehow or other it slips through the cracks, and they're not cracks. They're very, very serious situations in our society. I thank God for you. You're doing wonderful work, and your musical talents are not lacking at all. So I don't know. There's a very broad question in that. And I guess it lies with all the organisations that are in the business of trying to heal the wounds afterwards and persuading those who have to make responsibilities for policy to change in future the things we've done and the things we've not done. Sorry.
No, thank you. And look, thank you for your great words and kind words. I appreciate that. For me, the solution is the community. If we wait for government to solve our problems, we'll be waiting a long time. They're there for a function, but I'm a great believer they're not there for everything. And I think as the community matures and grows and realise that those that serve our country, and I'm not just talking about military, police, fire, ambulance, people who actually put themselves out there for others selflessly, the community, we sort of do understand it, but we forget about it very, very quickly. The fires come through, the fire brigade's out there, and then 3 days later, well, we've moved on to something else. It's sort of like the society, how do we instill in society that, we've got to work together, we've got to look after each other. And I think I have a hope, I'm a believer in hope, is that people are putting their hands out a little more to help others. What you guys do in Rotary is a wonderful example. It's helping others, giving them a leg up. The more we do of that, the more we can solve these issues, and particularly in mental health, because mental health is about isolation, it's about depression, it's about going through something really tough. And the only way out of that is with somebody else, putting a hand around you, an arm around you, opening a window of light. That's the only way we're going to solve this. There's no magic medicine. And I've had veterans that have come to me and said, I've been on medication, but I feel so much better when I play the guitar. How incredible is that? The money that goes into medication, if we could just teach people to play music and share music, join a choir, join something, get involved, because that's sharing. And these are the human things that we've got to re-embrace, and that's how we're going to solve these problems.
David, it's my pleasure to give you a token of our appreciation. This is our Rotary socks, which
Oh,
I am
thank you.
wearing now. Very, very comfortable.
Wonderful. Thank you
And I
very
hope
much.
every time you pull on, you'll think of us.
I will.
We really appreciate what you
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay. So I've now got the duty of closing our meeting, and I'll start off with liking to thank. So first of all, I'd like to thank our visitors and guests for their attendance. I'd also like to thank Bernie and Peter for your wonderful reflection today, and our lunch setup and reception team who do such a wonderful job in making this meeting happen every week. So please, if you can, stay back and help pack up a little bit, that'd be very much appreciated. Yeah, whatever, yeah. I think we can do that. Yeah, and it's the closest thing to a magpie that I've seen. So that's okay. A reminder next week that the evening meeting is at the National Gallery Victoria. So on the coming Friday, the 6th of October, which is in lieu of the monthly meeting on the 11th of October. Next meeting here at number 35 will be the 18th of October for our Vocational Service Award, where Dr. Sandra DeMayo will receive this important award. So